It means a lot to me. I do apologize for any of the noise in the background. I can't control my environment, unfortunately. I live in a very populated city where everybody likes to just make as much noise as possible. I mean, it is what it is. And I think that's an airplane and kids playing and whatnot. It's never quiet here, guys. I'm just letting y'all know right now. I think that airplane or helicopter, I think it's a plane though, finally left. But anyway, so again, welcome back, guys, to this channel. I look forward to posting more now. There's just so many things that I want to talk to you guys about, and I'm just gonna get straight to it automatically. So to start off the whole gist of this video, I've been extremely busy with my work life, my career life. I finally can tell you guys that I'm not sure if I ever mentioned it in my last video, but I switched jobs, I switched careers. I started working in insurance, specifically in auto, home, all of that jazz. I was able to acquire my license to sell insurance in the state of New York, which is amazing, right? I've been doing it for the past 3 years now, but it's been extremely hectic, I'm not gonna lie. With that just comes a lot of responsibility and understanding basically the fundamental part of it and the rules, regulations, the laws, and all that stuff. And around last year, I became a interior manager, while my official manager of my office location was away on maternity leave. So I was pretty much managing, new recruits and stuff like that, and just helping out in that agency to assure that everything would run smoothly when my manager was going to come back, right? And from there, I leveled up and I became the official, I guess supervisor, you can say, of both of 2 agencies. I work in basically out of my town and my borough, and I started working in Queens for some time. And there was 2 agencies side by side, so I became manager or the supervisor of both, and pretty much went on from there. It's the corporate ladder, and it's been an amazing experience. I've learned a lot over the last couple of months or year, and I want to start off by saying I'm super blessed to have been able to acquire that position and the knowledge. But unfortunately, it's taken a toll in my health, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and I was trying to find the root cause of the problem, right? So I started to better changes in my own life. I know you guys probably saw a lot of my smoke sesh videos, and I stopped officially smoking this year. I gave it up for about a year, which was back in 2023 when we moved to the new location. I'm not providing as much information yet because I'm still working in this establishment, or in these establishments, but basically my agency relocated from one part of the city to a different area, different zone, which is in Queens. We were in Brooklyn, we moved over to Queens, and we basically established ourselves right next to another agency, right? So it was 2 agencies. A lot went down during that transition, and it was really difficult for me because I don't usually travel that far for work, but because I was so comfortable in other section of the city. And I love my coworkers or my colleagues. Like, I actually hang out with these people outside of work, and I consider them my friends, although a lot of people may disagree and say, like, your colleagues or your coworkers are not your friends, which can be true to a certain extent. But this group of people, they have been there through my really, really hard times in life, and I've opened up a lot within the last 4 years, and all that jazz. And yeah, we've just been very close to one another, and we've shared a lot of beautiful experiences together, and grew with one another and all that good stuff. So yeah, I was just really happy I'm trying to think of the wording right now. I was really happy with my job, and I was really happy with the people that I was working. It's really hard to find people that you can work with. I think I've shared several experiences in the past with different types of individuals, colleagues, coworkers, all that stuff, where we've bumped heads, had issues, etc. But I actually like these people, love these people that I work with, actually. And I didn't have a problem with my bosses or anything like that over the last 3-4 years almost, because this year would mark my 4th year now working in this establishment or in these businesses. But we'll get into that, right? So I leveled up, all that good stuff, and a lot of things that changed throughout my new position, including processes, procedures, admin work, starting new systems with like timings and stuff like that. I just wanted to also inform or emphasize that I live an hour and 30 minutes away from these agencies, which my boss was aware of at the time, and he was okay. We made adjustments to my schedule, all that good stuff. So like, things are going well. Like I said, I decided to make the sacrifice to work all the way in like the other side of the city or town, whatever. And things obviously changed once I took this position. Again, I made the sacrifice to go through with it and all that good stuff, but unfortunately things just took a turn, and I'm in a position where how did they say it, like you're like on a rock and a hard place or something like that. That's where I find myself. I love my job, I love the people I work with, I love the customers that I get to talk to on a day-to-day basis. Of course, we had the people or those customers, those clients that you would bump into, like a headache or complaints, or just somebody that would be upset, right? But it was never that deep, like never to the point where it affected me as much outside of my job. And over time, this whole new job and task and everything just became too much for me, to the point where I started to think about work outside of work, and that was like a big, that was like a new thing for me. It never really occurred. It got to the point where I started to question whether if everything that I was doing was correct, even though like I know my job and I know what I'm doing is fine and all that stuff. But because of upper leadership, mainly the bosses, I just found myself questioning myself a lot, because they consistently would like question my choices, or question why I did this, why I did that, etc., etc. The way I did it, how I said it, the way I presented myself, the way that I managed others, I guess. It became too much. Like, they sort of started to like nitpick a little, like everything that I was doing, and that the video kind of seems like it's all over the place. But I guess once I'm out of this place, I'll get into more details later on with truly blessed, as I stated, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, but it's just something that doesn't rest well with my spirit. I feel like God has been calling me out on this consistently, and I've been ignoring it for the last couple of years, or maybe months, mainly because everything was working out well, and throughout the struggling moments, I always succeeded and pushed through. So this has just been a consistent thing where it's one thing after the other, and I just can't consistently keep putting myself through this. It got so far as to my body started to physically feel it, and I never experienced that before. So like I said, I made better choices. I stopped smoking weed. I exercised. I started a better diet plan. I lost a tremendous amount of weight. I have been going back and forth with therapy, although I haven't been as consistent with it, but that's just like one of my own, that's just my personal journey when it comes to therapy. Sometimes I'm consistent, other times I speak to my therapist every other week or every other month, or sometimes once, twice a year. But it's one of those things that it's like my own personal journey or growth, and I have grown as an individual. I have found different outlets to express myself. I speak more on how I feel with others, and I am more confrontational, and not exactly like in a negative way, but I like to face things up front. I like to face it head on. I don't like to sometimes beat around the bush because, what for? And yeah, I've grown as an individual, guys. I wish I could have documented it before, within the last 3 years, but due to the fact that I've been just extremely busy, the last thing I honestly would say that I wanted to come to is having to just work on something else. If I'm being 100% transparent here, it was difficult for me to upkeep posting on YouTube, posting on my social media, even though it was one of my top goals within the last 4 or 5 years. Since my dad passed away, or even prior to that, it was one of my goals to make it not big, but have some form of community within, these platforms. I don't expect to, have millions of followers or anything like that. I'm just a regular girl from New York, right? But I feel like the experiences that I have lived through in life can definitely help somebody out there. So that's why I decided to share this with you all today, because I feel like a lot of people don't really, or maybe there are pages or people out there who do speak about it, but I just don't seem to find something that relates to my situation. I come from a lower to middle income kind of class family. I pretty much had to find my way in this, and I'm happy to say that I did make it to that extent, and it definitely fills me with pride, and yeah, I'm just like really proud of where I am today. But truthfully, if I'm being honest here, this has not necessarily made me a happier individual. So I finally figured out it's this freaking job, and it sucks because I worked so hard to get to where I am, but I can't continue to put myself through the same position or through the same situation over and over and sacrifice to be financially well. So I finally made the decision, and trust me, this decision was not easy to make. I actually had planned to leave later within the year, like closer to 2026, but was such a fundamental part of my life and my guidance. So when that was taken away from this physical realm, I was lost, like a lost puppy. And yeah, I don't know if I've said this before, but I'm married now, and even like throughout that journey within my marriage, I failed to depend on my spouse. And luckily now we're in a much better position, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially as well. But mainly those three, like those three main things that I just mentioned, we're doing way better. So I can now thankfully make that choice of leaving because I have my husband's full on support, and I know that's something that not a lot of people can count on. But I do want to sit here and say that it's okay to make that choice, to make that decision, even if it's a hard one. Do not put yourself through just don't put yourself through that nightmare, because it will take a toll on you sooner or later, whether that's physically or mentally. It's not worth you putting that in the front line, because you will end up paying for it times 10 later down the road when things just spiral. It's just not worth it. I've seen a lot of young adults who've developed illnesses for putting themselves through extreme stress and anxiety. And before that becomes me, I'd rather just walk away from the situation in my job or in my career, because I don't want that for myself. I've already worked extremely hard to get to where I am now, where I can, say that I'm healthy for the most part, and my body, like, I feel fine to an extent. Like I stated, this anxiety stuff has made me feel so tense throughout my entire body, something that I've never experienced before. So this is how I know it has to do with this specific job. And I also want to emphasize that what you do is more than enough. What you do is enough. Don't let anybody try to talk you down or talk you out of certain decisions, because what you do is enough. I had to tell myself that multiple times this past weekend, because I was really, really indecisive of whether or not if this was going to be the right decision for myself. And I sort of felt like a failure at the same time, because I'm like, girl, like, come on, like, you really can't, just toughen up and push through for another several couple months. But the answer is just no. If I don't put my boundaries even up for myself, I'm just constantly going to disrespect even myself, and I don't want that. I've been working really hard on that as well. So I had to really just tell myself, like, girl, no, like, you've done more than enough, and you don't need to put yourself through that situation. So yeah, guys, sorry for like the vagueness. Like I said, I'm not trying to speak on the details yet until things are solidified 100%, and then once that's done, I'll give you guys more of an insight of what occurred and what really made me go through with this choice. I've done it in the past though, where I did have to leave a job for my mental health, but this is something more because of the fact that I've achieved this level of growth. It almost hurts and makes me want to cry to think that I have in a sense, give that all up now, but I know that better is coming for me, and that God has me set in motion for this journey. I know something bigger is coming, and I just want to say that you are more than just your job. You are more than just that career. You are way more than just that income. Do not let that define you 100%, because people sometimes get lost in that sauce and think that that's the end all be all for them. And then once it's taken away, it's kind of like, well, what else is there for me? You know, where do I go from here? Create new things, discover yourself, go out, don't be afraid. I feel like fear is such a huge setback. It's such a huge thing or burden that really just holds us all back from making the better choices for ourselves in the end. And that's kind of where I'm at in this moment, is letting that go and letting go of that fear, because I've already gone through, I feel like I've gone through a really big trauma in my life. Well, several big traumas in my life, but the latest one was losing my father, and I survived it. I'm here, I'm stronger, and I'm here to tell you that if little old me could do it, you can do it. Do not be afraid. Trust in God, hold his hand, pray, because it's just so amazing what God has done for me in the last year since I officially accepted him into my life. And of course, I have so much more to achieve with him and to work on, but nobody is perfect, and I'm sure that he's out there watching me and positioning me to be a better Christian, a better Catholic woman. I hope that this story or this little video here is motivational or inspires somebody who's going through a really tough time in their life. It doesn't have to be work-wise. It can be with a relationship. It could be with type of people you surround yourself with. It could be with where you're living. It could be with work. It could be with life situations, losing a parent, losing a loved one, losing a spouse, financial crisis, anything like that. I literally have a little story for each and every one, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys in the near future. But yeah, y'all, better things are coming. I look forward to speaking to you guys, or conversing and having more open conversations like this with you guys. I love you all so much. Again, thank you for being here within this family, within this community. I hope you guys have an amazing day. It's Tuesday, May 27th. Happy Chipper Tuesday. Thank you so much. I will catch you all later.